Tell me something. What kind of faggot runs around in a Christmas sweater?
Like sucking dick and cock. Like, I'm just like, oh my God. Time and place. And you did it at my birthday dinner.
Come on, if you know the words, let's go.
What do I think of her?
Yes.
I don't think of her.
Bitch, glass of red wine and a swisher. I think you get the picture. Bitch,
Here I go.
Read about that in the New York fucking Post.
Spooky, kooky, ooky. It is the annual, for the first time ever, Eating for Free Halloween episode.
Oh my God, the dark depths of hell have opened and we are charting right in.
Yes, you know, we always
Ghouls
did
and
say
goblins.
that the earthquake that would eventually hit San Francisco was what was going to be the death of both of us. But actually, this episode has opened the hellmouth underneath my apartment building in particular. And just like Tati, the crystals have been insulting me with demons and negative psychic energy.
We are currently falling through the oxalates. I think that's what they're called.
Oxalates.
Oxalates.
Yes,
Yeah. We're falling with the oxalates.
The demons in our crystals and tarot cards are crystallizing the oxalates in our blood and killing us slowly, which is why we have to eat meat 24/7.
Yes, there's some bones and there's some steaks as we fall through this crevasse.
I could eat some bones right now, let me tell you. Yum. Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to Eating for Free, the podcast recording absolutely from the absolute edge of the internet.
But you didn't do your intro.
Oh, hi. I'm local gossip Joan Summers.
And this is your local artist, Matthew Lawson.
I've been doing this quite a while, and I did still forget. So.
What's a king without their queen? I gotta do the intro right where I don't know what's going on.
We haven't yet assaulted you with allegations of misogyny, transphobia, and trying to disrespect
it's been a minute
women.
And a half,
so
this is impressive.
I'm letting you know. I'm putting you on watch. You haven't pissed me off yet.
They're gonna say we're misogynistic for this whole episode. I'm sure. Absolutely.
Oh no, this is the episode about hating women, wanting women to not succeed.
Critiquing what women eat.
Actually, if you really think about it, this episode is about how women are the foot soldiers of the patriarchy.
Your words, not mine. Let the record show I did not say that.
No, and I'm proudly saying it. I am absolutely proudly saying it because today we are checking in with a podcast main character, if you will. One of the reasons we do this podcast at all, if you really think about it.
I mean, there was nothing quite the intersection of all the Venn diagrams as was the James Tati.
Jeffrey, by sister, Shane Dawson, Electric Boogaloo Part 2, Redux Remix, the redo. Yes, no, for those of you who I guess are new to this podcast or haven't gone back and listened to our entire archives in the last few months, we famously did an episode back in 2019 during the infamous By Sister scandal. That really put us on the map, I would say, and kind of gave us the inspiration to keep making this podcast.
That episode was praxis, honestly. Like, we covered the hair care vitamins all the way through its entire existence.
And I think to this day,
Coachella,
we are one
care,
of the
Tati,
only
Jeffrey.
podcasts, really, to have an opinion that, like, stood the test of time.
Oh my God. We feel only more vindicated now as we do this episode.
Because I'm not going to, like, rehash By Sister, but
it's not even necessary for what we're going to talk about either.
Overview is James Charles went to Coachella and did a Sugar Bear Hair Vitamins sponsorship that led to eventually Tati Westbrook teaming up with Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star to take James Charles down on Tati's part for homophobia and on
for
Jeffrey's
sucking dick
part
and cock, the
because
biggest crime of
business,
humanity.
and on Shane Dawson's part because of undiagnosed mania, but that's a different story. But let's not get into it.
We only have one American Horror Story spinoff at a time. We can't do multiple franchises.
Yes.
Today is about Tati.
So that led to an infamous series of call-out posts, like the Reddit threads, YouTube
An entire
videos,
reorganization of
news
subscription
stories, interviews.
tethers.
Multiple companies shut down. Multiple companies folded. Multiple people went bankrupt.
Multiple pallets went expired in warehouses afar.
Like actually, at least a half dozen people went bankrupt.
I also do think it's why Jeffrey moved to Colorado
emotionally
or
and
Wyoming.
physically.
Like, I think.
No, if you think about it,
moral bankruptcy, absolutely.
the only person left standing in Los Angeles.
Oh my God, you're
It's
right.
I mean, it's James.
James Charles, you're right. Oh my God.
Standing alone in front of the Mona Lisa. Okay, we'll get into it.
They really flew James Charles out to have a private
to
tour in
look
the
at the
Louvre.
Mona Lisa. That is so funny to me. Okay.
Guess who's winning in this scenario? So we have something to talk about that is
Worse than anything my sister could have ever done, evolved into. So recently Tati Westbrook, we're talking about Tati Westbrook, famously glam life guru on YouTube, started out like over 10 years ago, sitting on her floor, reviewing makeup, talking about fertility and hair and like beauty and self-care, whatnot, and has grown her channel quite significantly and then has had it shrink quite significantly in the wake of my sister, Halo Beauty shuttering and the lawsuits that have come out of Halo Beauty, as well as more recently an intense pivot into more openly evangelical content and faith-based content, if that is like the correct way to say it.
traditional
Yes.
Christian content.
In a
I'm still
recent
trying to figure it
video,
out
she
too.
says that she wants to live on the prairie with an apron that ties around the waist, making bread from scratch for her man. Like, that's her dream, okay? And at one point, this is the woman who wore more bronzer than existed in every CVS in LA, okay? Like, though a woman with like a good $200 at least worth of hair installed at any given time, like a woman with like a wall of Gucci bags, okay,
While
like,
also doing full vegan, full like.
well, we're gonna get into that.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
gonna get into that. Let's
Yeah.
not pivot too hard. So we're talking about Tati. Tati has, like we've said, come back in 2021 after a hiatus following By Sister and did like the whole classic "Where Have I Been?" She revealed in that comeback video that she had been sued by her former Halo business beauty partner. It's not ultimately too consequential, I think, to the contents of this video, but the basic gist is Clark Swanson, her former business partner in her vitamin line, Halo Beauty, accused her and her husband of fraud, negligence, and breaches of fiduciary duty, basically saying they mishandled the business. And Tati famously had to sell her LA house as well as her Seattle home that James was living in, James being her husband, and moved with her husband to Texas.
Yes.
So,
A lot of people moving to Texas after being canceled. It's a very interesting phenomenon.
wait, her husband's not James.
No, that's her husband. Yeah.
Are
It's
we
James.
sure it's James? Yes,
Yes,
James.
it is. I know.
Okay.
So I remember going,
No,
wow, also James. Like another James. Okay.
No, it also
How
makes
scary.
me laugh because every time in her videos she mentions James, I hear Wendy James. What was that?
Speaking of Halloween themed.
Speaking of Halloween, the killer is in the room with us right now. So, anyways, she moves to Texas, and that's where our story starts. So, I'm going to go back to a video that she released recently, actually, like this year, it came out, called, okay, this is how you know that this episode is going to just be nothing but bad content. So, this episode's called Get Ready With Me Q&A, Faith, Fertility, and Diet. This came out August 29th, 2022. So very recent. We're going to kind of start at the present, and then we're going to go back a little bit to explain the significance of these recent videos and ultimately how it ties into what we see as larger social movements on YouTube as a platform.
Absolutely.
Kind of following, I think, right off of the Try Guys episode, the culture of YouTube, what it was, how it became that way, and ultimately how everyone in YouTube is reckoning with that climate and now being shaped by it, like quite forcefully, I would say. Where the Try Guys have, you know, taken the like pivoting, honesty, learning, like we're all friends here approach. I think Tati has taken the cancel culture, Joe Rogan, red pill approach.
Absolutely.
That has let her down quite a
And then
path.
the alternative medicine.
Well, it's all connected.
Yes,
so
it is.
in this video, She says, get ready with me Q&A, faith, fertility, and diet. You can go see this on her YouTube video.
Can I just say, real quick, the first like 12 or 15 minutes of this 30-minute video is like absolutely nothing important or relevant. It is like a straight up everything you expect, regular get ready with me, makeup, like lifestyle tips.
That's what I'm saying.
Ultra casual. Like literally nothing happens in the first 15 minutes.
I'm saying that is so important.
It is.
Because the pivot the video takes.
Because then you're all of a sudden, you're like,
we also just right off the top want to warn everybody that this episode is going to get into disordered eating, and it is going to get into dieting and body image. And you're even going to hear Tati talk about her body image. So if that is like extremely triggering, we will give you a heads up before the conversation gets too real in that sense.
Yeah.
Because as someone who struggles with disordered eating and also has lifetime been in recovery from like actually severe disordered eating, like I want everyone to be safe listening to this episode. I don't want to trigger anyone unnecessarily.
Yeah.
But, you know, I do just want to give that warning off the top. I don't think that ultimately it will hinder your experience of this episode. And I do just, you know, want to be transparent with everyone.
Absolutely. And I also want to say, I don't think we're going to be here like denying Tati's like experiences or like saying what she's experiencing is like, you know, not real or
we're not here
happening.
to diagnose her.
Yeah. And we're not doctors and we're not dietitians. But I think as we'll get into, you will see how much larger this is than just Tati and how much this connects, like you just said, with the Try Guys or with YouTube changing and with the way the audiences interact with the people that they follow.
Ultimately,
that's what I want to talk about.
Beauty gurus always were. They were just dressed up to be something else.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's get into it.
So she says in this video, you know, she is talking about her makeup. She's doing her bronzer. She's talking about how she has favorite blush, putting on her eyelids. She's talking about Texas. There's a thunderstorm recently. So she's talking about the thunderstorm.
Relatable, quirky.
And then immediately after talking about the thunderstorm, she hits us with this. I'm still someone who is exploring and walking in faith. I have shifted my perspective. If God places it on my heart to share, yeah, I will, but not right now. And this is in response to a Q&A question about like, where are you on your journey with God? And it's like, you know, it's talking about like, how's your dog? How's James? How's Texas? And then like God. And I'm like,
it immediately becomes a lot more serious.
And she telegraphs it in the title, right? So I was expecting her to talk about it, but like the way that it gets brought up is very abrupt. And then she says that I've had a few turbulent years, but God is good. So this kind of, I think, underpins everything about these videos and her new political leaning is that like she has gone through the ringer and God has saved her from the chaos,
the stability within the storm
became. Yes. Mm-hmm. God is now her rock. I mean, listen, coming from an evangelical background, I'm like understanding all this language, right? Like God is like God's lifted me up out of the storm and the world is raging around me, but I trust in God and he is my rock. He is my shelter.
My number one priority.
I shall walk through the valley of death and he will be there beside me to walk with me. So she then says, quote, when I tell you guys, so someone asks, Tati, where are your crystals? And it's like the way that she answers these is like she is like leading us into her spiritual beliefs without like really saying. So they ask her casual. Where the crystals are, and she goes, "Oh my God, you guys!" And she kind of rambles for a little bit about like, "Oh guys, the crystals." Like literally, it was so crazy. There's so much craziness with the crystals, but like, listen, the crystals get really crazy. And after talking about it for a little bit, she goes, "Quote: When I tell you guys." I experienced so much paranormal activity. It was bananas for a while. I was like, where is this coming from? And then I'm going to paraphrase a little. She says, quote, I thought it was cute and fun. I know it sounds like you're out of your mind, but the paranormal activity was captured on my cameras in my home. I had cameras everywhere. I can't tell you why. There felt like there was something attached to the stones that were in my home, but it was there and I felt directed to get rid of things. Do I think our human intentions can call things in? Yes. Okay, then I didn't write this part down, but after saying the thing about the crystals, she says that like she's not ready to admit that like the earth can be evil, but that like humans can like put evil into the earth and it manifests
into objects
in crystals.
Or like it vibes.
But it's like, I'm telling you guys, I've met a lot of spiritual people. what she's really saying, and she gets into it in later on, she's really like, the devil was leading me through the stones, because then she starts talking about her tarot cards and the meditation.
Yeah, it's
and
like it kind of is about the devil, isn't it? Like, no, evil versus good.
Throughout this video is like fixated on the devil and new age spirituality. So she says, quote, "Please don't make assumptions about what I believe. It's all love." Quote, "I've had anxiety issues, depression. I don't like labels. I've been through it and I don't have it anymore. It's a beautiful place to be in. If you look at it through the lens of love instead of the lens of manipulation." So she's saying like, I had all this depression. I was like trying to find things in my tarot cards and in my astrology charts and in my crystals, and it was just negative. It was filled with negative energy. It was leading me down a dark path. But like now I believe in God, and all of my anxiety, all of my depression, how bad I feel is all gone now. I'm healed.
It's hard not to like extrapolate that she's claiming the crystals and the tarot cards, and it's like the classic new age.
She's literally saying
has
that.
The devil in it, but like that is what she's saying. You're right. Like,
and she spends a long.
It's just like, wow, that was really fast.
And
like,
I really cannot stress enough. Like, we don't need to like continue harping on it. She spends the majority of the end of this video just like obsessing about new age manifestation and spirituality. She's like, if you're triggered by anything I talked about, I understand. I don't want to say then leave. But this is where she says what we're really going to be talking about today, okay? And I want everyone to hear this very clearly, because this was the dog whistle, right? Tati has always believed in God. She's sometimes like gone different places, but like that has been consistent for her. And to hear her be like, oh God, like this or that, like new age manifestation, like that all felt kind of mundane to me, right? But this was the dog whistle. Okay, so listen very clearly. She says, quote, "But in this era of everybody living their truth, I'm living mine. And I don't want to shy away from any aspect of who I am."
It is.
Okay.
There's so much there.
When
actually.
you hear in this era of everybody, quote, living their truth, what comes to you immediately?
Cancel culture. Immediately cancel culture. Immediately like, individualism.
Who is the everyone living in their truth?
I don't know, the other YouTubers.
Gay people, leftists. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh, I see what you mean.
That's what I'm hearing. She's saying like all these like non-Christians.
The like woke people, probably.
The woke people or the progressive people.
The new like
the
age.
new age people, like queer people, trans people, black people.
Yep.
Literally anybody that doesn't fit her like heteronormative, evangelical, regressive political politics.
And I don't want to spoil it, but it's absolutely like, the center, like you said, of everything coming later with like health and your health experience, or what certain things that you practice affect you and how they affect others, and choosing your like, own experience over others.
Maybe I'm being uncharitable by like reading into what she's saying by saying, quote,
no, but
in this era of everybody living their truth.
Yeah.
But like, a dog whistle is when you are saying something, but ultimately you're signaling to an unseen or not specifically addressed party what your real intentions are.
And it's usually very loaded.
And anybody who's like watching Fox News, anybody who like is obsessing about what Glenn Greenwald or like all those fucking trolls, Jesse Singal, like all the like alt-right goons, everyone in that orbit around them, Elon Musk even, like fucking all the Trumps on Twitter,
Jordan Petersons,
the Jordan Petersons, the Ben Shapiros, the Joe Rogans, all of them. One of the most consistent talking points is like, we're living in an age where everyone's just living their truth. Everyone's just...
Anything can mean anything.
Anything can mean anything. Gender isn't real. Sexuality isn't real. Men and women aren't real. Everyone's like living their truth.
You can't deny my experience.
Yes, you can't deny the what is it? The like woke millennials.
Yeah.
Like no, but like but
I know, yeah.
But it's about they're going back on our values. Mm-hmm. They're going back on what I believe.
Yep.
The traditional nature of things. And she really spells it out later. But like
she really does.
This was the first video I watched because of the video that kind of
and the thing is, she's also framing all this as like, this is what I've been doing for a while, and like I can't wait to share it with you yet, but like I'm just getting back into it right now. I think she even ends this video by going like, oh, I know I have this. And it's very iconic. I mean, it's in her By Sister video, her very iconic backdrop of the glam studio in her house. And she even is like, I don't even know if I'm going to be filming here anymore. Like, it's going to, there's a lot of changes coming and I just can't wait to tell you about it. Let me know. It's like very casual, very like me, my journey, myself, my truth.
And this was a consistent thing on her channel since she had come back, right? But if you scroll between her Where I've Been video, where she reveals the lawsuit and the fact that her and James almost got a divorce, but they reconciled. They were living in separate houses. She spent most of the early pandemic alone in Los Angeles, and he was in, I think, Seattle still.
Yeah.
Or they were in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
but not
she was with
together.
her family, but not with him.
Yeah, but she was also saying there was a time where she was living alone and was like by herself completely during the pandemic, and she felt isolated. And then they reconciled. They sold everything because they lost all their money in the lawsuit, and now they live in Texas. Their house is over $2 million in Texas. So like, how really?
And that gets you a lot in Texas. That gets you like a substantial.
Okay, so here she goes.
Let's get into the real meat.
This is the real
Sorry, I didn't even mean to say.
Okay, so we were already kind of planning on talking about Tati because I had wanted to do a By Sister check-in, and almost fortuitously, right, all of the videos that she had been posting were ramping up to the thing that really alerted everybody this last week, which is a video called, quote, I was making myself sick, Q&A. Now, as of the time of recording this, which is only 7 days later after this video was released, this video is underperforming. It has 227,000 views.
And she has over 8 million subscribers.
Yes. So think about that too. I think that that's also really clear. I think throughout a lot of this content is it's like there is this sense that she is losing her subscriber base and building a new subscriber base.
Yeah, and she only has 13,000 likes. YouTube removed the dislike counter, which is in its own thing that I hate. But again, 13,000 likes, 200,000 views in a week, and a week is like where 90% of your views come in if you have a good subscriber base, and it is
and where the momentum comes.
It's almost like a margin.
And like she talks a lot about like, I'm changing my channel. I want to get more into talking about like wellness and health and spirituality.
It's about the inner and outer beauty.
Yes, and she's like, I don't want to like just fixate on being like a makeup influencer anymore. And I think that there's a real sense that like Glam Life Guru is changing.
Yeah.
The channel that people have come to know doesn't exist anymore.
And we'll get more into this later, but she iterates a lot in this, if you didn't even know, that she's been going through health issues for a long time. And it's always been a thing she's talked about. And you'll get into later things that she has purported and advertised as like a way of living. So this is like the next stage. It's very much like all eyes revealed, like smoke is cleared. I have found the new thing that is going to save me.
So what alerted everyone to this was a clip that circulated on YouTube of Tati discussing eating organ meat from animals, which is a not very common thing here, specifically in the West, in like broader, like heteropatriarchal white evangelical culture. Like people are not like on raw organ meat diets, okay? Like just casually.
Because it's becoming more casual.
It is becoming more casual, but I'm saying
but you don't meet them very often.
It's notable.
Yeah.
And she says like, I don't want to say I'm a full carnivore, but like I'm kind of a full carnivore. Like carnivore again. Another dog whistle. Okay, so before we jump ahead,
meat-based diet is my favorite new term. Bioavailability also comes in later, but we'll get to that.
I'm going to quote some of the things from this.
You have to.
It's starting out. Wild. I just want to start by saying that nobody knows your body like you know your body. So just consult with your physician too before embarking on a new journey with your diet or fitness routine. This is my journey of being up and down and from being heavy to so skinny. I never had an issue with. Okay. Remember this. I never had an issue with any eating disorder. Okay? Remember that she says that. Because then she goes on to say, the quote, this has been an issue to be up and down with my hormones and my weight. And we're going to talk about how I've landed in a place where I feel like I can sleep at night. I am eating like a queen and I feel truly nourished.
The eating like a queen is also a dog wiggles. Can we say that? It's giving like the king to his queen, like my home meal.
This was the beginning of the video. And then one of her fans asks, quote, favorite water. Okay. And so like, I was expecting the video to be about the carnivore diet because she starts with talking about it and about her new all meat diet. But actually,
that's not even.
It's
that's
not even.
That's a part of it. There's so much.
So
more.
we're going to go through each of her talking points one by one because all of them are fascinating. Okay, so she goes about the favorite water. Quote, "You guys know I'm a Fiji fanatic through James. Now, I'm a little more aware of microplastics this year and what I want to purify out of my system, which is disruptive to my hormones."
I mean,
She
hey,
then
the
quotes-
microplastics are in everything.
Okay,
so,
no,
like,
guys, Matt, you have to stop because this is the part. This is the part. Quote, "Not just fluoridation, but byproducts of other chemicals, of pharmaceuticals." Okay, so we're already at fluoride. We've already reached the fluoride discourse.
Why did you move to
not
Texas
even, like,
if you
5
want good
minutes,
water
10
also?
minutes into the discourse.
Anyway,
like,
yeah.
We've already, she like jumped straight to
Fluoride
fluoride.
is like amateur girl. This is if it's a galaxy brain, I mean that's like the first few tiers. We're like already going.
You know the iceberg? Yeah,
that's
that's the cloud above the iceberg.
the twilight period's over. Like we're getting into the depths.
But also the pharmaceuticals is another thing, right? Like
Yeah.
they're putting something in the water to make the frogs
what's that?
gay.
Yeah, what's that thing? The hormones are being put into the water.
the
birth
hormones?
control.
The hormones in the water is making her husband want to leave her. Like, okay,
Stop.
Also, it's the chemicals in the water is giving her 5G headaches, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to the 5G later.
She's also saying, quote, this part made me feel insane. "I am even these days putting salt in my water if I'm sweating and I want to remineralize. I'm not afraid of salt anymore, be it the right kind. Mama,
I'm not afraid of salt anymore. Okay,
I'm drinking salt water." Like, okay.
because you lose salt through your sweat, and we need to remineralize.
Guys.
Because sweating is not
When?
is not able to be done by itself.
When in the entire history of human society has drinking salt water ever been something that is recommended?
No, but it's the right kind of salt. She specifies, not just any salt.
No.
The right
It's
high
good salt.
high quality
it's
salt.
high quality salt.
I
Because
bet
you
it's
have to
that flaky
remineralize.
stuff that Bon Appetit sells.
And then
you know?
I had crystallized.
Yes.
And now I'm a glamazon ready for the runway. The runway to heaven. So, okay. So then she goes, quote, she also talks about her weight a little. Quote, "I gained a lot of weight and skyrocketed it." Okay. This is the part where we're going to start talking about weight. So just a trigger warning. "I gained a lot of weight and I skyrocketed." Like, she makes it sound like it was, she got in
Like
a
this happened
rocket ship.
like it happened
So
overnight. Like,
170 pounds is
Okay.
what she skyrocketed to. Like, yo.
do you know how skinny I would be at 170? Sorry, this is just talking about my own
I would be
body.
skin and bones at 170.
I would-
like, mother, like,
I would be literally
you know
a
the
completely different person.
You
if
know
I weighed
the
170.
skeleton they found in SpongeBob? That's me at 170. Okay, like, okay.
Well, apparently she's a very small frame, so this is actually this is very awful for her.
She's very small, just like Danica on Love Island said. "Sorry, I'm so small." Okay. She also talks about saying, quote, "You're saying to me that I can eat healthy, saturated fat, real fat from animals. Olive oil I will use sometimes, avocado that I can eat with butter also." So she's also saying, like, part of this is like her rediscovering that unlike what she's heard, saturated fat is actually good for her, and contrary to like depriving herself of fat, she can have like butter and she can have meat and she can just like eat animal fat and it's good for her. Which again, guys, like, this is the part of wellness that is such a fucking scam, is it convinced people for 20 years that something like fat, which is essential to our body's everyday usefulness and production and healthiness, was bad for us, so that eventually they could come back and say, wait, actually fat is good for you. And then you eat it and fat is actually good for you. Like all things are in moderation.
But because we can't do anything in moderation,
yourself of it,
you have to completely pendulum switch.
Because you've deprived yourself of it and now you're re-ingesting it and your body feels better because of it. Then it's, oh, I literally can just survive on animal fat. and I don't need anything else.
And it's like, obviously, I want people who deprive themselves of these things to realize that they can actually eat regular foods, actually be okay with eating carbs and fat and things that they thought were so terrible. But she's immediately, as we'll get into, it's the pendulum swing. It's now it's all about the fat and the meat. And
the
now I don't even
vegetables
touch
are
vegetables.
killing me.
Yeah. And it's actually like a very chemical, deep reaction.
Fat used to kill you, and it used to clog your arteries, and it used to give you all these health conditions, allegedly. But now it's the vegetables are killing you. The vegetables are depriving your body of nutrients. They're leaching life energy from you because they're living and they're like using their, natural toxins to sap your body of its vital nutrients, your minerals.
Oxalates.
It's the oxalates.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, I can't stop saying it. It's just a fun word to say.
Okay, so then she also says, quote, except seed oils,
Mama,
which I have a bone to pick with.
Someone brings up
Again,
seed oil.
I am not a doctor, though, and this is not medical advice. Okay, again, we're talking about seed oils now. Like, we've done fluoride. We've, like, ratcheted down to the seed oils, right? We've cored out the iceberg a little. We've made it 500 feet into the iceberg. We're at seed oils.
And, like, obviously, just like we're saying we're not doctors, it's not medical advice, I do think there's a very interesting conversation to be had about how much you're allowed and can continue to talk and promote and make money off of making health recommendations to people while still claiming you're not a doctor.
So then she starts to parrot talking points about bioidentical hormones,
Mama,
which
this is where she lost me.
A hotly contested thing right now.
I wonder why.
In the worst spaces of women's medicine. So basically, bioidentical hormones are synthetic hormones that are made in labs that are identical to the hormones that we naturally produce as people. For instance, I take estradiol as a pill. Estradiol is a bioidentical estrogen hormone that is basically estrogen as the body produces it, just synthetically. And it is what allows me to transition. It is essential to my transition. Testosterone also has bioidentical variants that trans men take, or just trans people of all kinds take. Same with estrogen. And so you have these things where there are studies, but then there's not enough, and the TERFs are using the lack of the studies, or studies that have been done with like bad intentions, obviously,
and horrible ethics,
and so you have
practices.
Like all of these like interest groups, trans people, doctors who support trans people, doctors who are against trans people, like radical TERFs, evangelicals, and Republican senators, all descending on the conversation about bioidentical hormones at the same time. And in walks the wellness influencers right through the center that are like, oh, women, actually hormone replacement therapy is killing you. And synthetic hormones are horrible for your body, and they're not natural.
Oh, God.
Natural.
It's like we need to ban the word from the lexicon.
Natural.
I can't. Okay. Also, for a little context, she had been taking hormones as well for fertility treatment wise. That was like a journey for her trying to
She
have a
says
child.
she's not on hormones, she's not on T3, she's not on T4.
So this is a departure from that as well, from that journey she was having with trying to get pregnant.
Yes. And
but allegedly this is making it easier for her as well, which we'll get into.
No, and again, like the things that she's saying about bioidentical hormones and like synthetic hormones being bad, and like she's detoxing from all this medicine is like very common TERF logic and like very common TERF talking points. But she doesn't ever say anything about trans women or anything like that.
Thank
but
God.
like it's the kind of thing where you follow that line of thinking down far enough, and you scratch eventually to the surface or to the center of it and find the TERF or the radical gender ideologue or the Republican senator or the evil doctor or the evil human interest group that created the discourse about that bioidentical
I hate
hormone.
we keep saying it, but it is the Venn diagram center. Like it's that thing where suddenly, the trans people agree with you. I'm sorry, the anti-trans people start to agree with you. The Republicans start to agree with you. The alt-right start to agree with you. The alternative medicine and essential oil people start to agree with you. And then suddenly you have something bigger
And again,
going on.
also the implication is that medicine is bad for you. Okay, so she says, quote, "My passion right now is I want to educate myself as deeply as I can about nutrition. I know there is a spark in me when I talk about it. If it doesn't resonate with you, keep it moving. She also says things about like having her blood spun and how she has suspicions that seed oils were a factor.
Yeah, she paid a lot of money for allergy tests
yes.
and stuff
She
like
says
that.
that like seed oils were causing inflammation and her gut health was getting whack from seed oils. She also says how like certain kinds of gluten were killing her, as well as she was rejecting vegetables because vegetables have oxalates, which I do not know what oxalates are. I tried to look, and everything I read about oxalates was like published by a doctor that went on Joe Rogan. So like...
It's like the thing where like there's too much bullshit in the way to actually get to a center. Also, she apparently had a full journey before, again, like in previous content within her channel, where she talked about how she discovered she had a gluten intolerance and it really freed her from all this like brain fog and lethargy and what have you. So,
well, we're going to get into that because she's cured her brain fog, she's cured her anxiety, and she's cured her depression like 6 different times.
Yeah, I was like, the first time wasn't enough.
Conflicting things.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
but now she's going, now she's like, maybe gluten is fine.
So she also says, talking about like food and like eating natural. She's like, it's all about eating natural. No more processed.
High quality is my favorite phrase too.
She goes, I wanted to have a sourdough starter. There's something about it. Give me a farm and an apron and give me that life. I've heard that with fermentation processes, I could eat sourdough homemade products. So we're going to just skip on right by that because we're on the same page. Everyone groaned when they heard it, right? Like we all know exactly what that's talking about. So
it's like, it's not even about the sourdough or the gluten mama.
No,
it's not even about that.
No, she's living in the prairie of the mind. So someone
very
asks,
Dolores Westworld tease,
yes,
mama.
How did you heal your gut? So, quote.
Okay, I'm sorry. Even though it's very valid and very real gut health, it's something about when people bring it up, especially in the influencer market, it's like run away. Just don't go to your doctor instead.
So she goes, I still have days. She goes like, I don't want to lie to you guys. I still have days where I'm like, ugh, like I feel terrible. And to me, I'm listening to it and I'm like, yeah, maybe because you're on an extremely restrictive diet in which you only eat beef. Like, maybe the fact that you eat like 6 pounds of meat a day is like
also,
maybe why you feel
also
shit.
Just to give context, she doesn't give an exact date, but it seems only like 2 to like maybe 4 to 5 months max she's been doing this.
Yes.
Definitely no more than 6 months.
Since the beginning of the year.
And as someone who has changed their like eating habits and has gone through that stuff before, I'm sure many of you have as well, your body gets so fucked up when you change what you're normally eating.
And I
so
want to
like,
talk about that too.
Yeah, we will.
So she goes, quote,
but for this,
who wants, okay, so this is my favorite. Who wants to come on camera and be like, I have IBS?
Well, everyone on TikTok, actually.
Then she talks about endometriosis and how eating meat has actually helped her endometriosis. Quote, she would say that because of eating vegetables and because of bread and because of like the quote unquote seed oils that were like killing her, she would go to anxiety. She would have anxiety going to events for my job. I couldn't eat anything and I don't drink alcohol. I got skinny. I tried the more plant-based diet. I started working out for the first time in my life, but it's really interesting for me to see that I was still really high stress. I am suspecting now that I have an issue with how my body handles oxalates. That is basically a plant's defense systems that leaches nutrients from the body, creates crystals in the blood, and is something of that moment I would love to talk to an expert about. If you have a mystery illness that can't be worked out by a doctor, maybe it's this. It's been wild, but removing vegetables from my diet, and I feel like hiking up the fat and proteins has been the biggest win of my life. And there are so many stories similar to mine. I feel 100% great and I look better. I don't want to say I'm a carnivore, but I do have vegetables here and there, but it's just simplicity. So she's saying like, my endometriosis, my brain fog, my anxiety, I was breaking out, I couldn't eat, I was literally going to events and starving myself, but then I started eating protein and fat and removing basically vegetables and literally anything that isn't a meat or dairy product, and I just felt so much better. And to me, like, listen, I am going to be real with you guys and I'm going to talk about my eating disorder. So if that's something that's like very triggering for you, just like skip ahead like 15 seconds at a time. But I'm going to not be super graphic and I don't want to like get into uber detail. But like I recently in my life, as of like 7 years ago, was in the grip of an eating disorder that could have killed me eventually if I had let it go untreated long enough, because I was not eating. Like, I had convinced myself that I just needed to be skinny. And it wasn't because I wanted to be skinny naturally. Like, I didn't really want to look a certain way. It was about control in my life. And to this day, it's still about control. When my life starts to feel like everything is like just going crazy, I can't keep anything under control. Like, everything is like spinning out. Like, money's crazy. My relationship's crazy. My friendships are like all out of whack. Like, I stop eating because it's like, it's something that I can control, right? Like, look at how disciplined I am. Yeah. I can say no. And it's like the one thing I can be like, I can't control how my money looks. I can't control my job. I can't control my friends. I can't control my relationship, but I can control food. I can be skinny. I can stay skinny. That's like the one thing I have a handle on. Yeah. And I would get into places where I was literally collapsing at work because I literally didn't have enough body. Like, anything in my body, I remember the nurse, the last time I collapsed, I went to the hospital and I just told them that I hadn't slept. And the nurse looked at me and says, your body is literally decomposing. Like, it's eating itself alive because it has nothing right now.
The brain needs sugar and fat and protein to survive. And she was like,
we need you to eat while you're here because, like, I can't send you back if you haven't eaten anything. I can tell you're not eating. And I would think at my skinniest, I was like 110 pounds, like maybe 120, which right now I'm 185, maybe 190. Yeah. So imagine what I look like at 110.
Yeah.
Right?
It's crazy.
Very healthy weight right now. Like, what did 110 look like on me? I can't even think about it, but like, I can remember when I would change and I would be like, oh, well, I'm just going to intermittent fast instead, right? Like, oh, look, I'm healed. I don't have an eating disorder anymore because I'm just not eating lunch. Oof. I would feel so much better.
Oh, yeah.
I would be like, oh my God, I feel amazing. And then it would be like, oh, I don't need to eat lunch anymore because look how amazing I feel. But then enough time goes by and the like lethargy and the brain fog and the anxiety and the depression start to creep back in.
And then the way you get used to that
I've just
and you believe that's your reality.
One kind of deprivation with another. Yeah. And that temporary rush that my body felt from switching and things up eventually fades. And the things that I'm really not dealing with, which are control issues and the underlying causes of depression and anxiety that I was feeling, nothing really got better. And eventually I would get to a point where I'd be like, I feel like shit, I could barely get out of bed, like yada, yada. And then it would be like, oh, well, I just need to eat better. And then I had a, moment where I was like, oh, I'm going to have a lot of smoothies and vegetables and blueberries and all that bullshit. And I felt so much better. And then once again, the
habits come back and
I just see that so much in what she's talking about, where it's like this, like, not even like crash dieting anymore. It's like you are just like cycling between various vices and your body feels good and then it stops feeling good. And rather than like truly addressing why it is that your body feels bad, you're just replacing the badness with something else. And your body comes back or bounces back, and then it just keeps cycling.
And the hardest thing is that makes it always so difficult is they end up subscribing to and wanting to promote this like new founded institution and like market and like culture.
Well,
which is like the carnivore diet and the influencers within it.
That's literally what we're trying to talk about today.
It's like, it's not like they found something that works for them. It's that someone sold them something that they believe in this moment works for them. And she's done this so many times
as an influencer is getting other people to buy your life.
Yeah.
Everything that you do, all your lifestyle choices become something to sell to your
and not
followers.
To get too like third eye and deep with this because we still have more to go, but like it so reminds me of the Try Guys conversation where it's like you sell yourself as a brand and you make this promise with your audience. So when you start to change your habits, you are almost obligated to tell them, and it seemed like you're confident in it. I mean, maybe you can sell being unsure and sell this like, I'm just trying this out.
Listen,
but that's not what these people do, and that's not how it always goes down. We even
said this to people in our James Charles, Jeffree Star, Tati video. We even said this about Tati too. And it's right what we said with the Try Guys stuff. And this episode's probably going to have to be a two-parter.
I know. I'm like, as we're going,
we have
like,
so much more to go,
really
and we have
page
more
three,
I want to
mama.
cover right now. But like,
I know.
With the Try Guys, this is
there's
really
so much
interesting,
here.
though.
Yeah.
We said that like the Try Guys are a product that people were consuming, and we said in today's society, because everyone is a consumer before they are an actual person, the worst thing you can do is lie about the product. And it's the same thing we said about Olivia Wilde. It's the same thing we said about the Try Guys.
Yeah.
And what we said about Tati way back in the very first iteration of this podcast was that the reason people were ultimately going to take James's side is because James was just
so
exactly
right.
who he was.
You're so
a messy
18-year-old.
So
Oh my God.
But Tati had sold herself as this like maternal figure who was above the fray and not about drama. And then she pulls the mask off and everyone felt betrayed because she was lying about the product. This person that she was pretending to be was not real. She was just as messy, just as conniving, just as manipulative as all of the peers. She constantly positioned herself above us. Like, I'm not going to get down in the dirt with Laura Lee or James Charles or Shane Dawson or Jeffree Star. Sure, I'm going to ride around in the car with Jeffree and get on a plane with Manny MUA and all that kind of shit. But like, I'm above it. I'm above Nikita Dragon. I'm above Tana Mojo. I'm above Trisha Paytas.
The like multi-hour, multi-part
by
like,
sister.
Yeah, expose.
And everyone's like, wait a minute. This isn't who you said you were. You lied.
And then the inconsistencies that were in it. And we already talked about this drama, but the fact that everyone realized that she was just making half the shit up, embellishing this, misappropriating these things.
And like, what did I say about fucking Trisha Paytas? People can't cancel Trisha because her brand is lying.
Yeah, her brand is lying and her brand is
when she lies, she's not actually lying to us as the quote unquote consumer, because that's literally her brand, is being a liar.
So then what's happening now with
Tati, what I'm saying is the reason we see these numbers so low on this video in particular, and what we were saying about the Try Guys, they're probably going to make the comeback, but it's never going to be what it was.
Deviating from the script.
Because you've deviated from the script. You've changed the Coca-Cola formula, right?
Yep.
Tati is not the evangelical life guru. She's the glam life guru. She's the baddie from LA who's like older and mysterious and like has been around the block a few times. And she's here to tell you all the secrets about, you know, how to be a hot bitch on a budget, but also when to buy the $900 La Mer cream.
Yeah, when she used to do the like hunting for bargains and like the recommendation and deals and like how to avoid the scams.
I'm testing the most expensive items. I'm testing the most expensive makeup from Saks, right? Mm-hmm. And like, look at me, I can do that. I'm glam. Here's my wall of purses behind me. Here's like the nice house that I live in, and the rose gold mirror and the rose gold furniture. Like,
and where we are now is not that.
Nobody signed up for
It's almost
farm
becoming
life.
a rejection of that.
And she is rejecting, but what is rejection integral to? Cancel culture discourse.
Absolutely.
She's like, I'm now gonna like burn it all down. Everyone canceled me. I'm rising from the ashes as like a red-pilled 5G conspiracist.
And I might as well now live in my
who's obsessed
truth.
about fluoride.
Might as well live in your truth.
And I'm living in my truth.
She's now being honest with us. That's what it is. Also.
And that's really also
and keeping
the
an open
thing
mind.
Is so many people on YouTube have like pulled the mask off to reveal extremely right-wing reactionary politics, and we don't even have to get into it because everyone listening to this podcast just thought of like 3 people off the top of their head. Okay? But the thing is,
I mean, that's where Shane Dawson went too during all this.
What I also think is that like a lot of the discourse has been what happened to Tati. But what I think is that this is really what everyone was always like. But YouTube was trying to build a space publicly as its image of like, look at this big melting pot of people with all these different views and lifestyles. And like, for the first time, gay people had a chance to like really be visible to like everyday people, literally every day, and make money. And that's something that's significant about YouTube, right? Is it literally put gay people in people's homes.
That's so true,
in a very significant way that I think a lot of people downplay. But like, it was a huge social
Yeah.
bridging tool. No matter what we want to say about it now, like it did bring a lot of ideas to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so like all these people were like, oh, we have to get along with everyone. We're a big family. We're a bunch of YouTube creators. We're the beauty community, right? But what happens when you take a bunch of fucking upstart like Midwesterners from evangelical towns who are all white and then give them $10 million and a beauty deal, right? Like, sure, you might get that, you know, gold veneer to shine for a few years, but eventually you're going to scratch at it and you're going to reveal they're just like another white suburban person from fucking Ohio with a bunch of Republican family members whose dad is like running for Republican Senate seats. Like Addison Rae, like come on now, like
I always forget about that with Addison Rae as well.
or the D'Amelios, are also
Republican
Republicans.
congressman.
But that's what I'm saying is
Yeah.
ultimately they're still white Americans from the suburbs. Like this is just what their politics
what this
are.
content becomes for her is like not remotely different than the people that were already putting in those fringe alt-right circles that were like demonizing everywhere else. But because she came from this makeup background, a lot of people that maybe aren't familiar with those communities are suddenly like, oh, this is such a natural, regular thing that I'm happy she's honest about. And the comment sections are like in love with it. I don't know if she's deleting the bad ones. Maybe the people that don't like it, don't care, already abandoned the ship.
No,
but
I'm
the
saying
comments now,
the 200,000 people are the people that are either us who are hate watching it,
Yeah.
or the people that are like, finally, Tati. There is one.
but the
comment-
13,000 people that gave it a thumbs up are in those comment sections living and are
We
so
saw
happy and
those
are
comments
compassionate and engaging
where
with
one
her
of them
on
was like,
such a serious
Tati,
level.
I'm so happy you've like risen out of the evil that was YouTube and the beauty community and like
yep.
have found God again.
And then all the people that were like, I too suffered from chronic illness and other pain. I'm so happy to see you found
That,
a
like-
solution. I'm going to try it again. Or I've been trying this diet for a little bit, but now I know I really need to get into it. Should we also, okay, should
Yes.
you didn't
So
finish
she
before
says
the rest
about
of this video though.
what do you think about intermittent fasting? So she says intermittent fasting can work. Okay.
Oh yeah.
This is what I'm talking about with the turf stuff. Okay. I do want to finish this video. I'm so sorry we went on that long tangent. I hope it made sense to you guys, but let's finish this video. So she says, quote, what do you think about intermittent fasting? That's a quote from one of her followers. And she says, and this is what I'm saying about the dog whistles with gender. Intermittent fasting can work for men, but for women, our hormones are so up and down and they move around in different parts of the month. I used to love Botox, but now I'm doing everything to strip it down. I want my body cleaned out. I want to be as healthy as possible. And while I'm weight training, again with the weight, No. She's saying like weight training to lose weight and then also gain it. Like the weight training is like a way for her to gain weight. Ashlyn had a note. Producers note weight training usually just refers to weightlifting. No.
Yeah, she's been talking about her like Target dumbbells that she buys and uses like 5
but
days
I'm
a week.
saying like she's trying to put on mass now.
Yes, she is.
To also like slim down in other ways. And that's what I was saying. Like she's just like the way that she just kept saying the word weight throughout this entire video was like so triggering to me. Okay, but anyways, she goes, she also says, and now, I sometimes feel like, am I the old lady on YouTube now because my face moves? And then she like moves her face around like, look, guys, I have wrinkles now.
And the thing
This is the shit that really gets me. Because you had fucking full facial plastic
I'm like,
surgery.
did they completely revert the face back to what it was before? I don't think it's even possible.
No, she had full fucking plastic surgery, and now she has to she literally has been doing microdermabrasion treatments, going to the dermatologist once a week, doing all her fucking hormone regimes, doing her Botox, doing the fucking
And she's only over the
cosmetic
last few
procedures,
months
the like
reversed
mini
any of
facelifts, the
this.
eyebrow lifts, the fucking threading, the micro needling,
For like,
the like fillers.
a decade she was doing that. And now over the last
And
few
now
months,
she's
she's
like,
like, actually, never mind.
I'm an old lady. I'm just an old lady.
Meanwhile,
now 'cause my face moves.
she probably still has hundreds of dollars worth of product on her, an insane amount of lighting. There's probably a beauty filter still going on. And you have people in the comments going, I can tell how much you're glowing. Your skin looks amazing.
Bitch, she's wearing $600 worth of makeup. Of course her
And
skin's
she claims
glowing.
it's from
she
the
spent the
meat.
first 30 minutes of this video putting it on.
And she literally claims it's from the
Okay.
meat. Anyway.
Someone asked, quote, what is your go-to snack? She says, quote, this was disgusting. I don't snack a ton, but I am the go-to smoothie queen. I do collagen and raw eggs. Don't come at me. You're putting yourself in more danger eating fast food, in my humble opinion.
That triggered me. Oh my God, the way she says that, like your grandma that just called you fat in front of dinner.
So much venom.
Like it was okay. The people
she said it with so much venom.
All I'm gonna say is this: unless you're literally working on finding ways to dismantle the fast food industry and provide affordable food to the people in America, don't say shit about fast food.
You know what?
You're fucking annoying.
No,
and you mean nothing.
Listen here, you stupid bitch. I'm fucking furious when she
raw
said
eggs
that.
and collagen.
No, listen to me right now, okay? You know what's the danger to society about fast food? It's that the fucking workers who make our fucking $2 cheeseburgers are at risk of chronic health conditions and long-term illnesses because they don't have good fucking health insurance. They're overworked. The kitchens don't have proper ventilation. They are underpaid and they are not supported by their fucking bosses, companies, or cities that they live in. They are fucking humiliated on a daily basis because of where they fucking work. By people like fucking you.
Who make you act like you're running an evil shop of horrors.
And you are even fucking stupider because she's like, I really want an In-N-Out cheeseburger, but like you can't do the In-N-Out cheeseburger, guys. Like it's dangerous. Bitch, In-N-Out cheeseburgers, that's fucking 100% pure raw beef, okay? What the fuck are you talking about? You can't have it both ways. You can't say that meat's bad for you and then McDonald's patties are 100% real beef, but it's actually bad. That's the bad beef. The In-N-Out, that's 100% grade A whatever fucking beef.
It's the processing.
That's the evil beef.
Oxalates.
That's the evil beef.
and T4 hormones.
You don't get it both ways. That's what I'm saying. When you pick at this logic, it's so condescending. It's so elitist. It is so fucking racist.
Oh, and then it also, absolutely. And the whole like high quality.
The high quality shit.
As if we're just going to ignore class as being a factor in how we eat and how food's distributed in this country.
And the way that she will say throughout the video, guys, like order from your local farms. Like, I know that you think that like you can't afford to eat like this, but like you can just get, you know what she says? You can just get ground beef and like blueberries from the store and eggs. And you just have to live on that.
There's little things you can do. Even though I'm doing like a 460 degree
poach. Hey, poor. All you're allowed to eat anymore is ground beef, handfuls of blueberries for breakfast, and raw egg smoothies. And also, can I just say, and I know we're getting through the video, but this is something else that I was really thinking about today while we were putting the notes together for this. What really gets me fucking fired up about this is like, she talks so much about how God is healing her, that this is like cured her of illness. Her depression is gone. Everything about her life is so much better. It saved her marriage. Her skin looks better, everything, right? And she says like, fast food's going to kill you. The fluoride in the water is going to kill you.
The oxalates in
vegetables are going to kill you. And like, I just want to like eat better for myself.
I mean, she quietly says in the beginning too, like if you have a mysterious illness, it could be those like vegetables and the oxalates that are harming you.
Wellness
and that's
journey.
A pretty fucking insane claim to make.
She's like, I'm on this wellness journey to improve myself. But this is the shit with literally all wellness people that I cannot handle and that just lights me up. Is that none of it is for the good of human society. None of it
pure
is to
individualism,
better the world.
Pure selfish behavior.
It is about them.
Yes.
She is not saying, she's like, I've become so passionate about changing it. But she's not passionate about changing it because she wants to make other people's lives better. She's passionate about changing it because she's a wealthy white woman who is obsessed with self-actualization and bettering herself, which, by the way, is also the issue with New Age spirituality. It's not that demons are going to come into your life, but it is literally a self-centered practice that teaches individualistic enlightenment over communal growth, healing, and building of the society and community around you. It is not enlightening everyone around you. It is not about doing the enlightenment together. It is about yourself, your own journey. And this new health thing that she's replaced it with, just like fucking Jesus shit, is about herself. And I come from the evangelical shit. Do you see how fired up I am?
Oh, of course. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And this is the shit.
And I know that's
God
definitely
says,
stuff
go
you
out
went
there,
through.
teach, spread my message, feed the hungry, feed the homeless, give them shelter. If you see somebody who is in want, give them the clothes off your back. It is harder for a rich man to go into heaven than it is for a camel to go through the eye of a needle, right? Like, all of it is about like, oh, bettering other people, giving away everything you have to help society, charity.
Well, she did say she can't quote the
homeless.
Bible very easily because she's not very familiar
But
with
listen
it.
to me.
Even though there's a lot of truth in it.
For all of that shit.
It means nothing.
For all of that shit, it means nothing.
Does not apply
Because
whatsoever.
all of that shit mixing with her even like wellness guru bullshit is so individualistic. And she has all this money to make the world around her better, and instead she moves to a fucking compound in Texas so she can tweet about how 5G causes coronavirus and her fucking defunct vitamin company can cure COVID and protect you from COVID, and that the meat is the only thing that's going to save you, and vegetables are killing you, and you dumb fat poor person should die because you eat fast food, and I'm the enlightened one because I'm drinking my collagen
And
egg
she
smoothies.
has the audacity to say, I haven't even gone out to a restaurant in the last few months. I like doing everything at home. You know, it's about knowing where your
No,
ingredients come
Matt,
from.
no.
I'm like, you want a complete rehauled, reconstructed way that we eat and move through this country.
No, listen to
if
me.
If you want anyone to
Don't
live
even
like
get me
this-
on the restaurant stuff because we have to start talking about the struggling financially part of the video. She says, quote, I used to struggle financially and people say food is so expensive, but it's the most important thing to be healthy.
During, like,
you can do this kind of
worst
diet pretty
inflation.
simply.
When fucking a packet of blueberries is $8 right now. Are you fucking kidding me? We literally can't afford to do it,
Eggs,
girl.
like the cheapest eggs at Trader Joe's right now are like $3.50.
And that's the cheap ones. The average pack of eggs
the
are
ones
like
that she says we're not allowed to
$8.
eat.
Yeah, the one oh no, we can't get that. We have to go to the farm, which probably costs $15 to $20 for a pack of
No,
dozen
and
eggs.
that's the other thing is like a woman who literally makes millions of dollars a year off YouTube. Probably not so much anymore. I know she lost all her money, but like a woman who bought a $2 million house in Texas telling us
No, leak
that
the bill.
things, oh, I know it's expensive.
Tell me how much you're paying. Meat is like one of the most expensive things you can buy right now. Tell me
Okay.
how much you're spending a week
So
on
you know
groceries.
she says
It's in the
But
thousands.
this
I
is
know
the
it.
thing.
I can tell.
We're mad at her, but ultimately she's the one suffering because y'all want to hear her dinner. This was revolting. Okay.
Just get through it. This is spooky, ooky. I need the horror movie to end.
She goes, for dinner, like it's very simple. I'll do cheese and just ground beef.
I remember watching the video of a paleo person putting like 2 sticks of butter with a pound of beef, and I'm like, the beef already produces so much fat. You're
Guys,
eating oil.
She's literally
Just
like,
eating oil.
guys,
It just sounds
she's-
disgusting.
She's literally like, guys.
I love
she
butter.
Literally is
I love
shaming
fat.
us for the sausage egg McBiscuit I had this morning, and she's like, "You're gonna die. Let me go enjoy my ground beef and cheese for the 17th
And listen,
night in a
and there's
row."
something to say about the psychological fact that people have found a way to justify eating heavy amounts of meat and cheese and yet parade it as health, and that the version you have is fucking disgusting, you poor loser. But I'm not going to get into that right now.
We're not going to get into it. She also says sometimes we
making
do
me
a
hungry.
taco with a grain-free shell.
Bitch, you out of your mind?
But is it a taco if there's like nothing on it but just raw, like ground beef unseasoned?
I don't want to know. I don't
with,
want to
like,
know.
cheddar cheese.
She's clearly not
Is
having
that a
salsa.
taco?
She's not having salsa because she doesn't eat vegetables, which
No,
means she's
because
eating.
the salsa has seed oils.
Well, it doesn't have to have seed oils, but it has oxalates. The seed oil comes in the frying of the tortilla. I'm
So
sure.
she also says
A taco without salsa
in
sounds
my notes,
so
I just
depressing.
wrote, "This bitch is out of her fucking mind." She quotes, "I have not eaten out in a restaurant over 2 months. I don't drink Starbucks because I want control over the kind of milk they put in their coffee and control over the beans they use, which are sprayed with glyphosate. And I want control over mold exposure."
Oh, we'll talk about this in part 2, but she gets into that with like makeup that's over a year old. She's like, there's mold in it, so we can't use makeup that's old anymore.
Guys, this bitch has like 70 pounds of raw beef in her fridge at any given time, and she's like, it's the Starbucks that's gonna give me mold. Like,
It's one mad cow outbreak from total destruction.
Literally, Ashlyn is like, I'm just screaming, it's about control. It's literally about control. Okay, so literally, but what did I just say?
Yeah.
What did I just say about control? And she just reiterates multiple times how much she needs control over her food.
And as someone who's been in therapy for now a few years, let me tell you, it always comes down to control.
Like, girl,
It always
okay,
comes down to
so,
that.
Okay.
And learning to give it up.
She says, quote, "It's interesting to me that there is this observation of, quote, it seems like you are suffering. And I just want to clear it up that I am great. I am nourished. I've never been better."
She's eating cheese, ground beef tacos without salsa.
Okay, this is the other thing.
And no grains.
This is the other thing. Again,
Even
she's
is a
like,
grain-free
I'm
taco
not
shell.
a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I've never been a doctor. But I want to just say that we as a society are pressured that we have to ask other people for permission about what to do to our bodies, which is like, yo, this is the shit that really lit me up. I've said that like 6 times, but the idea that like, yo, I'm so sick of doctors telling me what to do with my body. Oh, I'm sure that has absolutely no bearing, that single thought, on the state of politics or gendered reproduction or transition and gender affirming care.
Just healthcare in general.
I'm sure that the idea that doctors sometimes have too much control and the state has too much control over what we are allowed to do with our bodies, that is in no way relevant to anything right now. And like, oh, it's not about the fact that doctors can fully just not provide abortions.
Because who cares? Lily, who cares?
It's not about
that
the
doctors
abortions.
are doing this.
It's not about the abortions. Oh, no. It's not about the fact that doctors deny trans people transition-related care because of weight, race, class, anything. Or healthcare is literally a genocidal industry that just will tell people, you're just going to have to die of cancer. Sorry, we can't help you. It's not about that at all. Like, no, it's about the fact that Tati has a doctor who said, hey, maybe you shouldn't like eat only meat. Maybe you should spice it up with a vegetable here and there. That is where we have to start the crusade, right? Because that's why I'm saying the individualism of these politics that she has descended into. And in the second part of this video, we will talk about exactly what these politics are. And she has laid it out very clearly. But all of this wellness stuff and this whole video is so individualistic that like she can't extend her own logic to anything outside of the fact that she just lives in this world that is besieged by angry leftist transsexuals that are living their truth. And why won't my doctor just let me eat raw beef every day? Like, and rub a pound of beef fat all over my body when I wake up in the morning.
Oh, we haven't even gotten to that, Mama. We haven't even gotten to that.
She's like,
the tallow-based skincare.
like, babe, get the stick of butter out of your mouth before you try and act up with me, okay? Like, I can barely hear you over the stick of butter in your mouth. Okay.
Can we get to the organ meat?
She also says, quote, are you eating organ meat?
Well, that's the question.
Yeah, the quote is, she gets a question, are you eating organ meat? She goes, quote, I'm doing desiccated liver. I ordered liver crisps and I literally almost threw up. But I do oysters, and that has plenty of copper, zinc, minerals, vitamin A, because again, she's trying to remineralize.
Yes, it's all about the mineralization.
And I think oysters are amazing. The bioavailability of animal protein in oysters is next level. Yo. We can't even start.
We can't even
She also talks
start.
about God lot. She says, she talks a little about the bi-sister stuff and her depression, how her marriage almost ended. She says, I don't want to sound like too woe is me, but it was a time during COVID when I was surrounded by nothing. I had nobody. I wasn't posting. And I was like, okay, I am sick of feeling this way. And this is going to sound really crazy. But going through really diligent prayer, I was like, let go of this. Let go of that. I'm going to change what is broken inside of me. Now, think about this as we end this particular episode. And next week, we will talk about her very explicit politics, as well as some of the other medical grifts that Tati has ran on YouTube in the last 10 years.
Quite literally is not the first rodeo.
No,
whatsoever.
It is not her first time curing depression. It is not the first time that a food substance has nearly killed her. It is not the first time she has done I'm having a health overhaul and this has come into my life and healed me.
Yep.
And it probably won't be the last, but I want to focus on, as we end this particular episode, the really key factor here. We've been sprinkling this in throughout the episode and we haven't really come out and say it, but there is a large conversation right now in the wake of 2016 to 2020, the pandemic, the insurrection, mass shootings, the rise of things like QAnon, and the carnivore MD, who we will get into in part 2, Joe Rogan, Joe Peterson, the list goes on, of this idea that in a time of profound human isolation and in a time of extreme human alienation from each other, from ourselves, from society, the world, our government, literally most things in culture, there was a large group of people who were at home, isolated and alienated, and on the internet absorbing the absolute worst ideas that any single human being has ever conjured up in the history of recorded civilization. In mass, too. Just like...
And the way you're right. Like,
no, but what I'm saying is...
It's really scary how true this is becoming, though.
You know, and you can see it so...
Yeah, she talks about this in other videos, too.
That she's lost her business.
Yep.
She's nearly lost her husband. She's lost the identity of Glam Life Guru and what it meant to YouTube. She's lost her subscribers.
And allegedly lost her health.
And lost her health and career.
And autonomy.
And the COVID is happening. She's tweeting about 5G towers and the mysterious headaches that she's getting. And you just start to see how in this period of isolation, what she must have been looking at on the internet. And we know probably what it was because things like the carnivore diet were popularized by Jordan Peterson and then made very public by Carnivore MD's interview on Joe Rogan and other like way turfier adjacent bullshit. The stuff about bioavailable hormones, the God stuff, the language about like living your truth, all of that. You can just see how all of this is so interconnected. And while she's not just coming out and saying, this is what I believe, these are my politics, it's little things like the move to Texas, you know?
Why is that always the red flag? It happens like every month now with a celebrity.
And not just the move to Texas, but the move from Los Angeles to Texas.
No, absolutely. The California-Texas pipeline specifically. And there's all these articles that make it act like this is a new movement happening.
If you've
and the
taken
statistics
the
are
Elon
like,
Musk
no, it's
pilgrimage,
not.
we've already suspected you of far worse things than what you're telling us.
And again, if you care about the water quality, why are you going to Texas? The infrastructure there is barely being held on because the state is fleecing everybody out of their tax money.
And I think more than anything, I know I said things like, this stupid bitch. But like, and I'm not sorry for saying it, but at the end of all of it, and we will get into this way more heavily next week, I'm just profoundly sad because it is yet again another example of the way that the very worst people on the internet thrive on preying on isolated individuals and vulnerable people. And they make entire careers out of making the exploited feel worse and ruining people's lives in extreme ways, not just financially, but through their health, ruining their bodies, ruining any chance they have of building community, making lasting friendships, or like joining society at large. Like the Jordan Peterson types, the carnivore MD types, the like raw meat diet types, even the like ultra wellness people who are tweeting about like how bioidentical hormones are not real and there's only one kind of woman. Like ultimately what these people are doing are just preying on people's deepest insecurities and their isolation and their loneliness and their anxiety and depression and just reaping the rewards, whether they believe it or not.
It's so fucked up.
And then it's coinciding with
gonna be
all
so
this
much
other
more prevalent.
shit. Because
That's the thing
then
I
you
hate the
see the like
most.
long history of disordered eating on this YouTube channel.
Yes.
And how long Tati has battled with the way she looks, with her weight, with the way that she eats, how she feels, her like long-term depression and anxiety issues and issues about control that are like very well documented, whether or not she acknowledges it. Like, they're just being exploited, those feelings. And I'm not apologizing for her. I don't think it excuses the fact that she has gotten on YouTube and convinced usually like stay-at-home moms that obsess over her content to like switch their families to an all-meat diet. Because guess what? Some fucking woman has now put her 3 kids on an all-meat diet.
Oh, read those
those
comment sections. Either they're making people who were never interested in that or were not involved suddenly pique their interest, and people who have experimented with it now deciding to go back and go full force or go harder with it.
But that's the thing is like, again, ultimately what we have seen so many times on this podcast is that the chain of abuse just keeps building itself.
And it also builds tolerance. It allows a lot of the people who are watching who may not be remotely interested or want to do that whatsoever feel like that's okay. And that's an empowering thing for her. When in the end, they're just allowing someone to ignorantly poison themselves.
And because I think it is now so easy for so many people, specifically white women like Tati, to just suddenly pivot, not maybe internally suddenly pivot, but outwardly suddenly pivot to like TERF content and like hateful trans misogyny or, you know, MAGA bullshit, QAnon shit, like the wellness bullshit. Like, I'm mostly talking the public images of them.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy for them to do this now because we live in an internet age where you can just decide tomorrow that like all my other content was never real and this is who I am now. You know, ignore the last 10 years of my videos. Ignore the fact that I literally ran a fucking vitamin company that sold bioidentical vitamins. I don't know if bioidentical is necessarily the right word, but like synthetic vitamins.
Well, she's not even taking
she's not taking
created
vitamins.
Anymore. She literally is like, I'm not
she
even taking
literally
my depression
ran
medication.
a supplement company
taking...
full of shit that she won't even take herself anymore.
And I will talk about this in part 2, but then she ends up throwing out all this makeup because she doesn't believe that we should be putting so much stuff on our face, and maybe it's using what we have and not buying a billion products when your entire channel is on a literal mountain equivalent sized pile of garbage from all the makeup that you have produced. Also, like fast fashion. Talk about industry rife with
in a
pollution and
castle
garbage.
made out of the discarded husks of all the bronzer you lather on.
Thank God all those
every
minerals
morning.
and plastics were put
And
into the
you
earth.
know what? I would like to see Tati give up the self tanner because she's going to tell us about how she's going all meat and ditching makeup, but she is still suspiciously tan. I've seen those older videos, Tati. I know what you look like.
It's all very suspicious.
So that's all we've got for you today. Once again, we are delving deeper into the bowels of YouTube. And I think ultimately what we're most interested in here is in the next episode specifically talking about how the culture of YouTube allows this kind of thing to happen.
Yeah.
And what ultimately is gained by both YouTube and the creators in making pivots like this.
Yep.
And I think we will get way more into that. If you have not yet, I would highly suggest you go back and listen to the By Sister episode as a refresher. It's way back in 2019, so it'll be a different time. I think I was probably inebriated on that episode, and I am so sorry if you have to hear me that way. Thank God I'm almost 3 years sober. Besides that, I would also say go listen to our Try Guys episode last week because that, again, is such a prelude to what we talk about with YouTube in the next episode. So we
Some
are
people
so
have been
excited
listening
to
back
see.
to our 2018 episodes and saying they actually aged well because we all the right takes. And I'm like, I sure hope you're right because I don't believe it. But yeah, I love that. I mean, also listen back to our episode about like vitamins and the wellness complex that is also tied completely into this.
It was about Goop specifically.
Yeah, I mean, it was about actually, it was about the hair care products that we're talking about, the biotin and the hair care that Tati and everyone else is pushing. But it's more so just about how quickly influencers, can pivot to pseudoscience, which is what this was entirely
about. We are really in a new era of this podcast. I hope you guys can feel it listening to it. We've felt very renewed recently. And I think it was just such a good thing.
Did the brain fog finally clear for us?
The brain fog finally cleared. We've been back for over a year now, and we've really been trying to figure out what it is we wanted to do. And I think really in the last few months, I think we have truly hit our stride. And I think we have seen you guys be so receptive to this kind of content. I hate saying the word content, but it really is the only way to explain the fact that we sit in a room by ourselves for 3 hours every week and talk into a microphone. And we are so happy that you guys are all on this journey with us. If you want to hear more like this, please go to patreon.com/eatingforfree. Your help legitimately helps us make this episode happen every week. And we are so, so thankful to our patrons. We would like to thank them all very specifically because you guys have truly pulled us through a very hard few months, and we are so happy that we've been able to keep making this show. So if you do want to help us keep making it, or even just hear more episodes, we are moving Hot Topics more frequently to the leftovers episodes while we focus doing on more of these like long form episodes.
I mean, if these people on YouTube and these other celebrities can just stop acting fucking crazy, we would do more Hot Topics in the main episode, but they just get thrown in our laps. I don't know what we're supposed to do.
Y'all keep
Tati was saying seed oil, and it was like we had to go. Like we had only one direction.
For now, the Hot Topics are in leftovers because we have fluoride getting tossed out there, right? Like the fluoride, right? Guys, we're at fluoride.
Fluoride in my salad? Sorry, anyway.
It's more, so fluoride in my vagina. It's more likely than you think. Besides that, you could go to you could go to twitter.com/_eatingforfree to see our Twitter. Go follow us there. I'm everywhere at Laura Croft Barbie. That's _Matthew Lawson. One day we will pay for the underscore to be removed.
I've tried. We'll see one day.
One day. I'm never getting mine. The person who has Joan Summers is like been inactive since like 2012. So like,
never happening.
Same with Eating for Free, actually. Like
those motherfuckers. We've tried that too. We've like reported, blocked, like did the whole thing. Appealed.
We've really tried to scam our way.
Twitter is like, we don't care. We're too busy selling ourselves to Elon Musk. Also, give us a 5-star rating on iTunes
and on Spotify. It truly helps us, and we have seen the positive impact of all of your guys' reviews. Besides all of that, tweet about us. Tweet at us. You can email us at eatingforfreepodcast@gmail.com. Link is in our description, but tweet at us. We love hearing what you guys have to say about these episodes, and we also love hearing any stories you might want to share with us, which you do share a lot with us. Not all of it fit to say out loud without threat of legal action, but we do enjoy it. So please hit us up. We are so thankful you guys are here, and I cannot wait to get into next week's episode. So
I wish there was not more, but there is unfortunately more, and she might release a video within that time that will probably be even more insane.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
And I can't say what it is, but there is going to be another piece of media you can enjoy me in coming pretty soon. So we'll definitely let you all know about that when it happens.
Mum's the word.
Now. She's got some things in the works.
But in the oven.
She's been moving. She's been grooving.
Amazing.
Okay, that was so mean.
I'm so hungry.
You literally don't want to see women succeed. It's so infuriating. You literally hate women.
Can I wait till I eat to watch a woman succeed?
Okay. Is a woman cooking for you?
No, it's me.
How do you know? When you do the Postmates, how do you know it's not a woman cooking for you? Gagged you a bit. Okay, let's get out of here. 3, 2, 1. Goodbye.
Come on, if you know the words, let's go.
What do I think of her?
Yes.
I don't think of her.
Bitch. Glass of red wine and a swisher. I think you get the picture. Bitch.
Here I go.
Read about that in the New York fucking Post.
Tell me something. What kind of faggot runs around in a Christmas sweater?